Okay. I have it on my computer.
Welcome. Thank you.
But Dave probably wants a copy.
Dave, anybody show up?
Yeah,
Good.
it really was all right.
Surface, I've never heard of it.
It got a little sticky there at the end.
Oh, I wasn't even listening. I was talking.
Microsoft is pretty handy.
So,
All right, talk about
yeah, I will tell you.
Okay.
It was good. It was, people were there. And,
Yeah, people can.
It's a few minutes fast.
hey,
We ready? Where's Marie?
she would,
Oh, she'll need to start the recording, right?
well, I don't dare touch it.
That's okay. We'll
Do I
wait for her
dare?
to come in. Hopefully she's not going to be too long.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's probably not smart.
Mayor's not gonna be here.
He is. He's going to be late.
Meeting over before it goes.
Try to get her done.
I know that's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be really nice.
I'm not the mayor pro tem. It's Chris.
I think Chris is, yeah.
Are you ready, Chris?
We are.
No, I'm not.
I know Maria's not here to turn on the recorder yet, so
Oh, no, it's on.
that's on, but her recording.
Can we wait for her for 1
The
minute?
audio isn't. I don't think she's got that running yet. Marie, tell me when you're ready. You've got that recording. Go ahead. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting tonight. Obviously, I'm not Mayor Hyatt, but I am Councilmember Snell, the Mayor Pro Tem this year. Mayor Hyatt is going to be joining us, but he is going to be a little bit late. He was attending a special presentation at Hill Air Force Base tonight with one of their top commanders from the Department of Defense. So he will be joining us somewhat later, hopefully not terribly later, and we will get underway. Before we get underway, again, we'll do our introductions. And Councilmember Adams, we'd like to have you come take the seat, please. But we'll go ahead and start over here with introductions.
Jake Garn, City Council.
Susan Lee, City Council.
Chris Snell, City Council.
Larry Page, City Council.
Shade Scott, City Manager.
Maria Devereaux, City Recorder.
Andy Thompson, engineer.
Dave Adams.
Dave Adams, City Council. Okay, so thank you, everybody. We will have an opening by Councilmember Susan Lee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led tonight by Boy Scout Troop 623.
Our dear and kind Heavenly Father, how grateful we are to be able to gather together for this meeting for our city. We're so grateful for the opportunity that we have to come together and to discuss those matters that are important to the city and to the citizens of it. We pray that we will be able to listen to the things that are discussed, and that we will be able to make decisions that will be for the betterment of the citizens. And we pray that we will always be appreciative of the freedoms that we have the ability to meet like this, and that we'll never take it for granted. And we pray that we will have thy Spirit with us always, and these things we do humbly pray for. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Will the audience please rise? Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The audience may be seated.
Thank you. It's always so great to have the Scouts come and lead us in that Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, everybody. All right, our next item on the agenda is, actually, I'm going to come down and take care of this. It's our Volunteer of the Season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be able to do this again. We changed this a little bit this year in that we're now doing quarterly volunteer recognitions instead of monthly ones, which we used to do. But it's my opportunity tonight to introduce Tammy Ryder. Tammy Ryder has lived in Kaysville for approximately 5 years. She and her husband Derek moved from West Valley City. She has 5 grown sons, 2 daughters-in-law, and 8 beautiful grandchildren. All of them are the light of her life. The first December after they moved here, she read in the newsletter that the city was looking for volunteers to help with the New Year's Eve party. So she called, and that was the start of being a volunteer. She was warmly received and has volunteered for the New Year's Eve party, the Independence Day event, the Miss Kaysville Fruit Heights pageant, Kaysville Idol, and most recently, the Daddy-Daughter Dance. She loves how the city is so family-oriented and has so many events available to the residents here. She encourages everyone that lives here to participate in what this wonderful city has to offer and to come and get to know your neighbors. It is an honor to be recognized for something I enjoy doing. It has been my honor and privilege to serve with residents of Kaysville, to quote Tammy. So please join me in welcoming Tammy Ryder. Tammy, we have some gifts for you here, including a night out with your hubby, all right, and a plaque, a token of our appreciation for you and for all that you have done. If we could get the council to come down and join us, then we'll take a picture and that'll go, you'll be forever memorial. All right, please come on up. Thank you again. Thanks once again. We really couldn't make any of our activities and all of our events that we do each year here in Kaysville. We couldn't have all that happen without all the volunteers that we have who participate. So that's a sincere token of appreciation from the city to you, Tammy. So thank you. Our next item on the agenda tonight is, I'm excited for this. We will turn some time over to Mr. Steve Hendricks, who many will recognize, if not by face, then certainly by name, as the director of the marching band at Davis High and the other bands as well. But the marching band seems to be a little bit more popular and well-known these days. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Steve Hendricks.
You know, I only found out like 5 minutes ago I was the one doing the talking, so forgive the notes. I just want to tell you, you obviously mentioned that you know what we're doing as a band program, how wonderful it is to go over to the police station and to see that great new painting that's up in the police station, and it shows all the police vehicles in the 4th of July parade, and then of course right behind it, the Davis High Marching Band, which is wonderful. As you're aware, the band has brought a lot of recognition to our area, and particularly I think the city of Kaysville. This November, I don't know how many of them are actual Kaysville residents, Kaysville Fruit Heights, a few from Layton, a few from Farmington. Am I going to say this number? 320 students are going to march in New York City and stop in Herald Square and put on a 1-minute and 15-minute presentation that will be witnessed by somewhere in the neighborhood of 80 million people worldwide. And it's pretty exciting. We've had the opportunity to do a couple of rose parades, and this is going to be a wonderful opportunity and a great way to, shall I say, start to bring my career at Davis High School to a close. So I'm looking forward to it. As we get ready to go, obviously the costs are pretty dramatic that we're encountering. Our students right now, we're going crazy trying to raise the approximately $1,900 per student that they need to come up with. I know you know the story because you're a band dad. And as we prepare for that, there's also some expenses that we don't want to hand off to the kids. We want to have them pay just for their trip and maybe even for a little bit less than that if we at all possibly can. We've run into a lot of needs. We had to purchase 60 new uniforms. Just put in the paperwork for that a couple of weeks ago. Those uniforms alone came to $17,000. So when you talk about that, plus probably another $20,000 in some new instruments we're going to have to purchase just to be able to have an instrument in the hands of each kid. And the cost of getting our equipment across the country and my visits that I have to make to New York City, there's a lot of expenses that we're going to encounter that we'd really love to not have to hand off to the kids, that we'd love to be able to take care of. As many of you are aware, we have several events that we do annually. Our Moonlight Serenade Dinner Dance has become, as Charles Bean once said, Kaysville's cultural event of the year. And we've adopted that mantra and we use it. But we've planned some additional events this year that we hope that you'll support us with. On May 13th, we would like to have a color run using colored cornstarch so that it goes away quickly and doesn't cause an environmental problem. And we'd like to start that at 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll map out the route, get it approved, do what we need to do. What we would like is for Kaysville City, with this event plus other events, to become a partner with the Davis High Band in a number of ways. We would like to ask you to provide for us as our partner the police, necessary police support, barricades for the event, the day of the event, any necessary EMT coverage, and necessary insurance coverages that we might need to stage something throughout Kaysville. Our other events that we have that we'd like to ask you to help us with just the support of, like I said, the police, the EMTs, those sorts of things. Our Davis Cup competition at Davis High School, we've typically paid Kaysville City for their support and help with that event. And also, and Mayor Hyatt isn't here yet, so I can't ask him, but maybe Chris, we can ask you and the rest of you council people on May 13th. Also, no, it's not May 13th. What's the day? June 10th. Sorry. On June 10th, we're going to be holding at Davis High School the March to Macy's Carnival. And on that day, we're going to have many events happening on the campus of Davis High School. One of those things that we would like to have is a dunk tank. And we'd like to ask a couple of you to be volunteers to get dunked. We'll make sure it's a nice warm day so that you're not too cold. Yeah? So, well, I guess we can't guarantee it's going to be a nice day. That's up to somebody else. But if we could ask for those kind of supports. Also, just some little things that we might come along with. A write-up in the newsletter that would ask people to give donations, ask for sponsors in the area, give them the information that they need to have, who to contact, how to make those contributions and donations. We can get a lot just right here locally. You may remember just 4 years ago when we did the Rose Parade, all of the yard signs that were all through Kaysville on front yards of people saying that they were proud sponsors of the Davis High Band. And we're looking for that as well. I would like to just tell you we love the great collaboration that we've had with the City of Kaysville for years. Oh, I forgot one other item. I don't know if you're in charge of this or not, but booth space may be at the 4th of July as well as a sponsored item as opposed to having us actually pay for that. So again, Kaysville City and the Davis High Marching Band, I think they're almost synonymous. you see the band everywhere, and it's not just a recent thing. It's something that's gone back over several decades. And I'm very, very proud of the kids and the parents and the people who over the years have forged this incredible relationship that we have, and want to tell you thank you for your support in advance and let you tell us what you think you can do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much. Yeah. I will tell you, you are correct. I am a band dad, and I'm proudly so. And it's my second child that's in the marching band this year, and it's a privilege and a pleasure to have her there. I would reflect to our city manager to maybe coordinate on some of the particulars. I don't think there would be any problem. I won't speak for the council, but I don't think there would be any problem with doing that support for your different events. Can we just make sure we have those dates right? You said it was May 13th?
May 13th is the color run. And
that you're intending to do that around the city somewhere, some kind of a course?
Yeah.
Was that a 5K kind of a thing, or is that what was?
She has the map.
Oh, terrific.
She can actually maybe let you take a look at the map. Hopefully we're not trying to get them to shut down Main Street. Even.
Yeah, that might be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
So.
And then, so that's May 13th. And then June 10th, we'll be on the campus of Davis High School, but we'll do the color run, or the carnival on June 13th. And we'll be bringing in for that event bounce houses, and we'll have some different events, and we're going to set up a stage right as people walk in, where you would walk into the front of Davis High School, put a stage there and have some entertainment going on through the course of the day. We'll be seeking out some local talent for that and doing some nice entertainment and goodies and different things that little kids can do and that adults can do for that day.
Absolutely. And I'll volunteer myself. It may or may not be a hit, for the dunk machine. It'd be, that's...
Depends on how much the people of Kaysville like you.
Well, that's true, which means it may or may not be a hit. I don't know. But that would be fun, and I'm sure there are other council members, and the mayor I know has been good to do things like that in the past as well. So what day of the week is that?
That's a Saturday as well.
It is a Saturday? Okay. Mm-hmm. That should be, I don't see any conflict with that. That would be a lot of fun. Do you have other types of fundraisers? I know that my daughter has had a couple of fundraiser activities this year. Do you intend to do additional ones that people can either whether they buy products, such as the mattress fundraiser? I know that's been one.
Yeah, we'll be doing the mattress fundraiser again in July, and we'll get the word out on that. And all of you patrons here, when you see kids out in front of Davis High School wearing a mattress, you know that that's the day. Come on in, and if you're looking for a mattress, come in and see what you can find. And right now, the kids are going around to people and selling really cool flashlights. And I had one student come to me today and say that he'd sold like 50 already or something like that. So there's also opportunities for people who say, you know what, I just don't really care for fundraisers, but how much can I contribute? Right. And I can just help. And we have actually some sponsorship things that we're working on for the students individually to get people to sponsor them and help them get there. And we're actually, we have some gifts for the people who just become sponsors as well. We're going to have a really wonderful Macy's parade pin with Davis High band logo with the Macy's behind it. We're going to have yard signs for people. We'd love to see so many of the citizens of Kaysville proudly put those out in their yards. It'll be right about the time that all of the election yard signs will be out too, so you can kind of plunk it out there in the midst of all the rest of them.
Those will probably be more popular yard signs
I hope
than
so.
the election ones.
Thank you.
But, council, anybody have any comments or questions for Mr. Hendricks?
I would just comment that these seem like very reasonable requests, so
Very.
easily do.
Yes, I don't think there'd be any problem with that. And as far as booth, I would direct you, I don't know if you know Cole Stevens, our Parks and Rec Director.
Yeah, I know Cole.
You know, about booth space and whatnot at the 4th of July this year. I think that's great. I think all of those kinds of things are doable. And the marching band is a crowning jewel for Kaysville. It really has been a remarkable thing for the city and a lot of our residents, certainly our young ones, but the parents as well and grandparents of those who live here really do enjoy that, and you get to represent us.
Yeah.
Kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
It
to go
really
to the
is.
Macy's Day Parade.
It really is.
So
Wonderful thing for the kids and the parents, and a lot more people in Kaysville will hopefully be watching the parade on TV this year. So, thank you very much.
wonderful. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you for that again. So be looking, everybody, for opportunities to assist the Davis High Marching Band to be able to get 320 kids to the Big Apple. That'll be an interesting feat. The next item on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is call to the public. This is your opportunity to present, to approach the podium here and to present your thoughts and express your concerns or your questions or your opinions about, really anything, whether it's on the agenda tonight or not. This is your opportunity. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening, so during any given agenda item, there typically is not time for the general public to discuss or to express comment. So this is your opportunity to express your opinions and let us hear you. The typical speaking, in order to accommodate as many who would like to speak as possible and not send this meeting into tomorrow, we do request that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Maria, our city recorder here, will have a timer, and we'll time that. When you hear the subtle beeping, please know that that's time for you to wrap up your comments. So with that, we'll open call to the public.
Margaret Bruff. I was raised on a farm, and every day one of my chores was to gather the eggs. I remember one of the old hens, if they were being picked on and blood was drawn, all the other old hens would immediately descend on this hen and pick her to death. I think I have been watching the same situation occurring in the city council. David Adams is perhaps the most knowledgeable city councilman we have ever had on the council, and I'm pretty old, and I can say that with a lot of courage. He understands the infrastructure of the city, and he knows what needs to be done to fix it. He's a fixer, and I don't know if it is because of his knowledge of the infrastructure of Kaysville and his desire to get it done, even if he has to go out with a pick and a shovel and fix it himself, he'll do it. I have wondered if the criticism of Councilman Adams is because of his willingness to go out and fix it himself, makes him the object of resentment from the rest of the council, because he is the only council person we have ever had that will go out and do the extra mile. I think Councilwoman Lee is perhaps the only one of the city council who has not publicly criticized him. I think it's time to stop the crucifixion of Councilman Adams and address those responsibilities that each of you as councilmen have been assigned. Councilman Adams, I am speaking for the vast majority of the population of Kaysville City when I say thank you for your willingness to serve as a city councilman. Thank you for your willingness to share your wealth of knowledge of the infrastructure of Kaysville, and thank you for your willingness to fix it by yourself if necessary.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Randy Rhodes, and I'd like to agree with Margaret Bruff on the things she just said, and let you people on the council know that you report to us, the citizens. I'd like to ask a question, and when I'm done, if each of you representative or council members would give me the answer from each one of you separately so it's on the record. The question is, when did you know that city funds, city equipment were being used to dredge the ponds down on Rocher Lanes or Ron's Ponds? If you'd give me an approximate date, whether you were on the city council or not, I'd like it on the record, the date you knew about that. The other question I'd like to ask is it the policy of Kaysville City to have a councilman go to a department head and request things like this to happen? Is it okay for somebody to do that? Or does the department head require some sort of checkoff verification from the city council before he uses city funds to do these kind of projects? At that time, okay, now I don't want to hear, okay, now we fixed the problem. At that time, was it okay to do that? If not, I think we should bring up some kind of charges against that retired department head for spending that kind of money. Okay, at least ask for our money back from him or the council member that had the money used on his personal property. So if each of you would please state the time you knew that city funds were being used for the record, I would appreciate that. I would also appreciate if Mayor Height was asked this question and had it put in the public record also. That's it, I'm waiting.
This is the call to the public, sir. It's time for the public to speak. We'll have time for the council to speak after.
So we're not going to get a date that you knew then from you? You're not going to answer my question? My question is when did you know?
Did you hear what I said, sir?
Yes.
This is the time for the council, for the citizens to speak. After that's done, we will have an opportunity. The council has all night to talk. So this is the opportunity for the public to speak.
And I was giving you the rest of my 3 minutes to give you that time. All right. So let's drain the swamp.
Thank you.
My name is Rob Nilsson. I'm sure you all are aware of me by now. I started the snow removal issue. I understand it's still somewhat of an issue, and I don't know why. This hasn't gone away. I also worry that in the future, if I bring up my concerns, they're not going to be taken seriously because this issue was not taken seriously by most of you. I received some information, some emails today. Some information I received is very insulting to me. I won't name any names, but for the council's benefit, I did not collude with Mr. Adams on this. We did not plan any of this. I had not met Mr. Adams until a recent city council meeting. If some of the council wants to accuse me of something, have the decency to say it to me. I have another issue with one of the city council statements in these emails. Once again, names excluded. Discussing a very active participant on Facebook over this whole Plowgate issue. The name was blacked out, was the bishop of that ward years back before he took on the hippie look. What does that mean? If someone can answer that for me. I urge you to stop fighting amongst yourselves. Stop making derogatory comments about people. Be professional at all times. Put your personal feelings about each other aside. Always take the high road and take care of Kaysville. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll welcome Mayor Hyatt to the meeting now, so I'll turn the chairmanship of the meeting over to him.
Okay, my name is Brig Lewis, and this is just information from the last time I was here. I'm interested in smart meters. I'm interested in the power levels that are coming off of the smart meters, peak, the frequencies, and the same information with respect to the meters that we currently have that are electronic. I'm much aware that there is transient effects of microwaves, light frequencies, radio frequencies, and even sound waves. They do have an impact on us. An example is the smart meters are declared safe by the FCC because they used their guinea pig as a 6'2" man, 200 pounds, and he could handle whatever this without any negative effects. What if it was a 120-pound woman? What if it was a 30-pound child on the other side of the wall that meter is on? I'm interested in those transient conditions. We have fluoride that we put in our water. Well, it now tells us that if a child gets more than something the size of a pea, you might ought to consider calling poison control. Transient effects, they do. There are certain light frequencies that do affect our eyes in a very negative way. They come from our TV screens, our laptops, the CFL bulbs that we use, even LED lamps. You should turn those things off, especially for children, at least 30 minutes before they go to bed, to allow their eyes, hopefully, to heal. But I'm interested in those smart meters and those effects. Now, for the last part of my time, I got to tell you the story that you didn't like last time. Ronnie spent all of his 12 years in the Chicago schools. Some of the highest paid teachers in the nation are in those schools. He was a good football player, and everybody liked him. Come time for graduation, he didn't have enough credits. Well, the students took up an argument for him. You've got to graduate him. They told the principal, you've got to graduate him anyway. And they put enough pressure on the principal, finally said, I tell you what, I'll ask Ron one question. If he can answer the question, then I'll give him a diploma. So they set the time. The school auditorium was packed, standing room only. The principal is up on the stage. He called Ron, come on up. He says, you answer this one question, and I'll give you your diploma. He said, how much is 3 times 7? Ron looked at his feet. He looked at the ceiling. He scanned around the room, looked at his feet again. There was starting to get noise in the auditorium. Finally, he held up his hand. They quieted down. And he said, I know the answer. I think I know that. He said, the answer of 3 times 7 is 21. Almost immediately, the auditorium broke out. Give him another chance.
I'm Dave Davies from West Kaysville. I take this opportunity rather seriously, but I also don't want to take myself too seriously. I heard a quote recently that reminded me of what I was thinking about. It's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. And that may be my situation. Maybe I'm going to speak up about some things that I don't know everything about, but I've been watching the city now for the last couple of years quite closely, and the members of the city council and our new city manager, who I hear nothing but good things about. I want to say, I want to compliment you on the things you've been able to accomplish. It seems almost like we have to find some things that we can nitpick about if we try. I think that needs, of course, from us in the city, and from perhaps even a little bit on the council. We could probably do without those things. I have a quotation I've thought a lot about. Christ suggested that if we have a problem with our neighbor or with someone, that we should, rather than go broadcast it, we should go to that person individually, excuse me, and deal with it. There's an interesting quote. The Bible says, if you're angry with your neighbor, then it has a little quotation that says, without a cause. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm going to make a little, maybe offend somebody. I hope not, though, but the Book of Mormon drops out without a cause. There is no excuse for us being angry with each other and then not dealing with it in an appropriate manner. And to make a public issue out of all these kind of things, I think, would be better if we didn't. I want you to know I really admire all of you for running for office. You kind of stick your nose out there and in a sense say, take a shot at me. and that's hard to do. I compliment you for being willing to do that. I want you to know that I'm here to support you. And I hope that we can communicate about those kind of things that we disagree on, and that it won't be nitpicking, but substantive things that will help us all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Scott Riddle. I'd like to speak a little bit about this evening about the ponds, Roche ponds. And I don't know if the agenda will allow me to speak now or if I should wait, but I thought I needed to clear the air of a few things that have already been spoken to tonight that are maybe a little out of character. Approximately 2 years ago, the ponds were dredged to my benefit. It wasn't to Ron Stevens' benefit. It was to my benefit, my wife's, and our neighbors, particularly everybody that drains into those ponds. Several of my neighbors, the Stams and the Bessingers, have a direct drain from their backyard into the ponds. That water over the years has built up. It's very dirty, contains a lot of silt. My backyard, my pond, is the first place that that silt can drop out. And over the years, it's built up and built up to the point where the water was physically backing up into the Marion Roche's property. Some things were said tonight that just weren't true, and I just wanted to clear the air. I hope we can discuss further means to prevent the silt from building up in these ponds, because if we don't, it'll just be a constant battle for all of us. So I'm hoping we can put in some kind of silt catch station off at the roundabout right there at Roche. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm curious, how many of you are here tonight for the ponds issue? You are more than welcome to speak now. There's that part of me that says with the intent to not get misinformation or to invite you all to speak in this portion of the call to the public without having a staff report or without having a presentation of what is going to or what is being proposed and maybe an update. I would guess maybe I would recommend or see if the council has any objections to when we get to that agenda item, we'll receive the staff report, we can have some council discussion, and then maybe reconvene a brief call to the public, or if you wanted to take your 3 minutes at that time, it might make more sense for you to have the opportunity to speak after you know what's being presented, as opposed to asking you to speak now. So does anybody have an objection to that?
No.
So it will, when we conclude with the regular call to the public, and after we have an opportunity to be presented the report from staff, we'll provide an opportunity. We would ask you to choose one or the other. If you'd like to still take an opportunity for call to the public now, you can do that. But we will open it back up when we get to that agenda item to provide the opportunity.
My name is David Robinson, and I came particularly to discuss 2 items on the agenda. And Mr. Mayor, one of them I can handle in about 1 minute, and the other I would ask for you to consider doing the same thing you just did, possibly open that for discussion at the time that this matter comes up. The first is item number 13, discussion of the health insurance program that might be offered to members of the council. There is probably nothing in the country that is creating more concern on the part of people than health insurance and their ability to cover the needs of their family. As a resident of Kaysville who participates in funding the costs of our city government, I would hope that you would consider the incremental cost that would be involved in covering all of the members of the council under the city's insurance policy to be a good investment in people who serve us in this community. For those of you who have insurance and don't need this, with coordination of benefits and subrogation of insurance coverage, the policy you may have now with the policy that would be available to you through the city would not provide you with double benefits. And one of the things that is not available to us in this packet, and frankly is not of much concern to me, is exactly how much it costs, because I think it's pennies when we consider the entire cost of that insurance as it may apply to you 6 people. And so I would recommend that you make available the city's health insurance plan to those elected officials and participate with them in their need for their family. Mayor, with respect to number 11, earlier somebody stood up and represented that most of the people in the city had a certain position with respect to a member of the council. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I know that during the year 2016, more heat has been generated than light with respect to the issue of requiring city staff to be involved in providing volumes of information. Mr. Mayor, there was an amendment to the agenda and the packet which included 2 letters, one from Mr. Church and the other from the Grandma Ombudsman, that I think shed some light on this subject. And I would like to ask you, if we could, as that subject comes up available later in the agenda, for the opportunity to comment on this as that discussion develops, and would appreciate the opportunity to do it now, or do it then, so that I don't have to address it now.
I probably can't promise you that opportunity right now, but as we get into that discussion, we'll give the council the opportunity to make that decision.
Fine, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sharon Whitaker. During the summer, my husband and I became introduced to the great sport of pickleball. We love it, and one reason we love it is because we have grandchildren, 7, 8, 9 years old, who can play. I know there are gentlemen who are 88, 90, and they can play. And I've even played against a man in Bountiful who has artificial legs, and he plays so well. It's just a great sport for everyone. And I am so glad that we are getting pickleball courts outside in Kaysville. That will help all of us so much. The rec center is a great place, but with only 2 courts there, it's very limiting. So it's exciting tonight to know that you're going to give out a contract, and huge, huge kudos to Tammy, who has done so much to get the money raised. I hope you name the courts after her, and hallelujah, pickleball!
We only clap for Tammy.
I was going to say, we typically ask the audience not applaud so we don't create an atmosphere of making anyone feel uncomfortable for maybe speaking against it, but that would be a pretty hard one to... I'm not sure I've had a Hallelujah Pickleball in my almost 10 years of service, so that was great.
Mayor Hyatt, members of the City Council, Mr. Scott, thanks for all you do. I really appreciate what you guys do.
You state your name for us.
Brett Garlick, I think I did, just not loud enough. My wife turned to me a few minutes ago and said, "You miss it," and I can equivocally say, not at all. So thank you very much for all that you do. I know how hard it is on all of you. I too am here in support of pickleball. And I have to say, as I was sitting in that seat right there, and Ron was sitting in that seat right there, many nights he would turn to me at close to the end of the meeting and say, "Brett, you and your wife should come and play pickleball with me and my wife." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds really good, Ron," kind of like pat him on the back. And I have to say, after I retired from City Council, I've been playing quite a bit, and it is an awesome sport. And I too want to thank Tammy and her husband and Dr. Snell and all the people who have worked together to raise a great deal of money. They've raised $125,000, and I think that really shows the support that this city has and other people outside of this city has for this sport, and how much that it will help people of all ages and of all abilities. And so I appreciate your support of this. I appreciate all that they've done, and again, thank you guys for all that you've done. Thanks.
Hello, Mayor Hyatt and councilmen, council people. My name is David Vance, and I think I better get involved with pickleball. It sounds like it's the thing. But I'm coming to you in concern of city buildings. And I attended a meeting a couple sessions ago about the old library, of what it could be converted to. And bless their hearts, I know that there was a committee put together to figure out what to do. And I just feel that wasn't a voice of what the people want. It was a voice of just a small committee. I did take a little small poll on Facebook, and the majority stated that they do want a museum and possibly even a community center of different things going on in the city. And I feel that we really need to ask the citizens of Kaysville, not just a committee, but ask the citizens of Kaysville what they really want the building for. After all, it is owned by the city. It's owned by the people of Kaysville. And we really need to get the voice of what the people of Kaysville really want to use that building for. And a museum I think it would be good because nobody really knows the history of Kaysville. Very few people do. If you go on the website, you can find some things, but we really don't know a lot about it. And on Facebook, I had one person ask me what the story behind the Davis Dart was, and nobody really knows. There's theories, but we really don't know. And I think having a good museum, a city museum, where people can go and learn the history of Kaysville and the different activities that have arisen and different buildings that have changed throughout the time, it could be the best opportunity to do that. I know that they've asked for city offices to be put in there, and there could be a few put in there, but have the majority be for the people. So that's all I'm asking. Ask the people to figure out what we really want to do.
Thank you. Any other items for call to the public? All right, seeing none, we will close the call to the public. We appreciate everyone that was in attendance. I apologize for being delayed. I was at an event at Hill Air Force Base with General Levy, who is the commander of Air Material Command, was visiting and had a brief reception up there for him. And appreciate everything that the Hill community does, and when those leaders come in town, we'd like to try and support them when we can. I was listening to the feed. I turned it on right about the time Steve Hendricks came up to the microphone, and I saw him out in the lobby and said, I'm more than happy to do the dunk tank again, but I have to tell you, I think it was a really cold day when I did it, because I remember feeling really cold, but thanks for that discussion. The next item on our agenda is a request to rezone 1.08 acres of property from A1 light agriculture to RA residential agriculture at 1053 South Roche Lane. Mr. Thompson.
The property is highlighted here on the map in yellow. It's down towards the bottom of Roche Lane. It's about an acre in size currently. The request is to rezone it from the current A1 zone to a RA zone, which would allow for half-acre lots instead of nearly full-acre lots. There's currently just one home on the lot with some outbuildings. This is just in anticipation of doing possibly a lot line adjustment or even splitting the property in the future. As you can see on the zoning map, there is RA immediately adjacent to it and several RA zones in the proximity. Planning Commission held a public hearing on this and unanimously recommended that this be allowed to be rezoned to the RA zone.
Thank you. Any questions from the council?
The staff report doesn't say, but was there any public comment in the planning
I don't believe
commission?
there was any public comment on this one. That's my recollection.
Yeah, it seems to be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we rezone 1.08 acres of property from A1 to RA at 1053 South Roche Lane.
I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion by Councilmember Snell and a second by Councilmember Lee for approval as outlined. Any further discussion? Councilmember Garn, will you start a vote for us, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The voting is unanimous. Next on our agenda is request to rezone 0.18 acre of property from professional business to healthcare at 579 South Main Street. Mr. Thompson.
This property is located on Main Street, just south of the DATC detention basin. It's again highlighted here. This was rezoned to professional business zone several years ago and has been used as an office. I believe most recently as an accounting office for quite some time. The accountant has moved out of that building. It's been vacant for the last several months. New owners or operators looking at that. What they would like to do is what they state as adult daycare, where people that have elderly parents or other elderly people that need constant care could take them to this location. They would provide the care for 3 or 4 hours while they went and relaxed or took care of other matters. It is not intended to be used as an overnight stay facility, just a daytime 8 to 5 type facility in that manner. that requires the healthcare district, according to the city ordinances. If you choose to, under the healthcare zone, you can apply a development agreement with it that states the criteria of what that zone can be used for, and that particular use. This seems fairly straightforward. The building's already there, so there's not a lot of discussion about what would happen. They will have to do some remodel, but they want to make sure the use is approved before they spend the money on that. Again, the Planning Commission held a public hearing, and I think there was some discussion among the planning members, just getting clarification. I don't recall any public comment, and they recommended this unanimously as well.
Were there any concerns brought up when this was presented in the Planning Commission meeting, or was it not a Planning Commission?
No, I think the only concern was, there was some concern about the proximity to the school. These are people who are not highly mobile. They would not be just allowed to roam out of the home and wander around. It would be constant supervision, or I'm not sure if that's the right term, but care of the elderly people. And so that seemed to alleviate that concern.
Do you foresee, Andy, any traffic-related concerns about that? People coming in and out of that particular, especially since it's in such close proximity to Laurelwood Drive. Do we need to try to do right in, right out kind of a stipulation there? Or do you have concerns about that?
I don't envision this as having any more traffic than the accountant office had. It'd be occasional people. Just based on the size of the structure, the amount of customers or clients that could be there at any one time would be fairly limited. So I don't see traffic as a major issue.
Okay. I don't foresee there being a huge issue with the use either.
Just have one question. The code section or city ordinance 17.5 on the second page, where it's saying that a development agreement needs to be approved prior to the rezone, but it seems to leave open the possibility that you could do it on a contingent basis also.
I think where the structure's there, I think just approval subject to would be adequate in this case.
Yeah.
So was that a motion or?
So I'll, if there's no other comments, I'll make a motion to rezone 0.18 acres of property from professional business to the healthcare zoning district, subject to an ADA access being provided and no overnight stays facility.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion by Councilmember Garn and a second by Councilmember Page as outlined. Any further discussion? Councilmember Adams, will you start a vote, please?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The voting is unanimous. Next on our agenda is preliminary plat approval for Crestwood subdivision at 85 East Crestwood Road. We also have a final plat approval for 40 Crestwood PUD subdivision at 40 East Crestwood Road. These are two different items, is that right?
Two different.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
I noticed Crestwood, we usually would do these together sometimes, so number 7, Ms. Thompson.
As you mentioned, the property's on Crestwood Road, just across the road from the Heritage Park area. It's outlined here. It's currently zoned R18. They have asked for a subdivision. I don't recall if the City Council's seen this before. It went several times to the Planning Commission. They originally requested a R4 zoning with a 12-lot plat. They reduced it to an 8-lot, and now they've come back to us with a 5-lot subdivision plat that meets the requirements of the R18 zone. Each lot's 8,000 square feet or larger. It is accessed by a private lane. So at the final plat, we'll have to approve the PRUD overlay zone if it gets to that point. But again, The lots are all 8,000 square feet or larger. They meet the frontage requirements of the R18 zone. The private lane does come out of the lot area, so the lots are slightly smaller, a usable area. But it does meet all the requirements for preliminary plat. The Planning Commission held the public hearing and reviewed it and recommended preliminary plat approval. There was a couple dissenting votes. I think they were worried about the architecture and the matching of the neighborhood is what was expressed in the discussion. They didn't make an actual statement when they voted nay.
And the staff report indicates that the recommendation of the Planning Commission was also to construct a fence along the western portion of the property.
Since there is a driveway here that will service all the lots, they recommended a fence to mitigate the impacts. The neighbor to the north currently has cattle, so he asked that fence be extended all the way to the end of the property line. The developer had no problem with that request and said he'd work with those neighbors to determine what kind of fence and show that on the final plat.
As I understand it, Andy, there is already an existing fence on this side. Microphone gremlins, but anyway.
I believe there is
a fence along here, right?
Various neighbors. I don't know that it's a consistent fence, but I think there is fencing. The ordinance states that the city can require a fence. I think it specifically says the Planning Commission can require a fence if they determine there's an incompatible land use adjacent to the development. Typically, we don't require a fence when housing abuts housing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I thought I remembered on the east side that there already was, at least on some of the lots, there's fence line, and even on the north side, I think there may be as well. But either way, I don't think the city council has actually seen all of the things that have come before the Planning Commission. But I know we did see a rezone request that was the one with 8 lots, I think, that they wanted to do on this. But just to make sure that they're not requesting a rezone at all. What they're doing is accommodating the existing zoning.
Yes, they will require the PRUD overlay zone to accommodate the private lane.
Yes, but there's no rezone associated with this, and it's not more lots in here than would normally be allowable in the zone.
Yes.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the preliminary plat for the Crestwood subdivision.
I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion by Councilmember Lee and a second by Councilmember Garn for approval as outlined. Any further discussion?
I do have one more question. Mr. Thompson already answered the one question, I guess, about there were some concerns with the architecture. Just to follow up on that, was that because of height or style, or modern style versus old style, or we're not very specific on that?
I'm not sure I could answer that correctly on their behalf. I think there was some concern with the height, some concern with the architecture, but nobody wants to build a new home that looks like it was built in 1962, so there's...
Yeah. And I apologize for having to ask that. I didn't have a chance to listen to the audio on that, so.
No problem.
All right, any other questions? If none, Councilmember Lee, will you start a vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Voting is unanimous. Next item on our agenda is final plat approval for 40 Crestwood PUD subdivision at 40 East Crestwood Road.
This is located just across the street, down the road a little bit from the property we just looked at. Again, you can see it highlighted in yellow. This property has been zoned residential multifamily, RM, for some time. The proposal is to plat 2 lots on the property with the intent of putting a 3-plex on each parcel, and then there'd be 3 units in each of the buildings. The rest of the property would then be open space, common driveway and yard in the back that would be shared in the open space. This does meet the requirements for that zone and the density. This is essentially what was approved with the preliminary plat. They've shown that the utilities can work and finalized the dimensions and everything, and so this is ready for final plat approval.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? If not, I'd welcome a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the final plat of 40 East Crestwood PUD subdivision.
Second.
Thank you. A motion by Councilmember Page and a second by Councilmember Snell for approval as outlined. Any further discussion? Councilmember Snell, will you start a vote?
Aye.
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 Thank you. The voting is unanimous. Next item on our agenda is, I feel like I should do a drum roll or something. There we go. I was going to say, I can't give my please don't applaud speech. Never mind. After kind of ask. The next item on our agenda is award of contract for construction of pickleball courts. Mr. Stevens.
So we're excited to be here tonight to present this proposal for the pickleball courts, hopefully located at Barnes Park. Before I get into my remarks, I've asked or invited Tammy to give a few remarks. Let me just say that we wouldn't be here today, I don't feel, without the involvement of the pickleball community group in Kaysville, and without the guidance of Tammy and Alan and the fundraising efforts that they've done in just a short year's time. On March 6th of 2016 was the first proposal that they presented to the council to form the pickleball committee to begin fundraising efforts. And so today's March 2nd, so just under 1 year, they've done a tremendous job, and so great credit goes to them. I'll turn some time over to Tammy, and then I'll explain some things.
Hi, I'm Tammy Worston, and before I start, I would like to have all of my pickleball players stand up and hold their paddles up high. Is that a beautiful sight or what? Thank you, everybody. Awesome. I love that. I thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you again about pickleball. We've had a very busy but eventful year. We've made great friends and seen such generosity from our community and beyond. We never could have imagined that we could come up with so much money in such a short period of time. It's very evident that the people want pickleball courts here in Kaysville. I want to make you aware that these pickleball courts are not for me and my friends. They're for you, your parents, your children, your grandchildren, and all of the people in the community that want to enjoy physical activity. These pickleball courts will not only benefit our community, but I envision people from all over Utah coming to play on our courts, just as we travel all over Utah to play pickleball in other cities. They will eat in our restaurants and shop in our stores, just as we eat and shop in their stores. If these courts are done right, they can be one of the crowning jewels of our city that will be enjoyed by people of all ages for decades to come. In one of the last tournaments here held in northern Utah, one of our 14-year-old Kaysville residents and one of our 83-year-old Kaysville residents met each other on the court and played head-to-head against each other in a competition. What other physical sport is there where such a broad range of ages can play together and play against each other? After one of our latest fundraisers that we held at Bowman's Market, who, by the way, are absolutely wonderful, awesome, and so kind and community-oriented, we had 62 people sign up to want to learn how to play pickleball. I'm chipping away at that list just a little bit at a time. I taught 12 people last night. The sport is growing so fast. In last month's February 2017 newsletter that I received from the United States of America Pickleball Association, they gave the latest statistics on the growth of the sport. They reported that the amount of courts across America are just over 16,500, with almost 4,000 of them just being built within this past year. That's approximately 313 courts built every month. Isn't that amazing? If pickleball has not infiltrated your family or your group of friends or your neighborhood, just give it 6 months. This is our opportunity to build something that we can be proud of and welcoming to all. I wish that we could have 12 courts and have them all lighted, or even 8 courts and have them all lighted. but hopefully down the road we can add to what we're able to get. My hope for now is that we can award the low bidder and get going on our project as soon as possible without any delay. One of the first things I'd like to see happen on the newly built courts is to have a small pickleball competition with the police department going head-to-head against the fire department. And just for the police department to know, the fire department has been practicing behind your back. Yeah. Yeah. I heard the word wuss mentioned too, but I'm not good. I don't know what that means. Okay.
You set up a court in the bay at the fire hall for them. They pull the trucks out. Is that
Awesome,
what they're doing?
wouldn't it?
Unfair advantage, Chief.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody from the bottom of my heart for all those people that have helped with our fundraising efforts. I thank all of those people and businesses who, because of personal visits from our committee, letters and emails sent, donated directly to our pickleball fund. Those who bought secondhand tennis skirts. Those who made gift baskets to sell at the arts and music event at Heritage Park. Those who bought pickleball paddles, nets, and balls. Those who shopped at Bowman's, where we were able to receive a percentage of all their sales. Please, everybody shop at Bowman's. Those who bought t-shirts. Those who spread the pickleball word by participating in the 4th of July parade. The company Engage Pickleball, who helped by donating pickleball equipment and selling us items at a greatly reduced cost so that we could resell them. And those who put money in our donation jars at Bowman's and the Arts and Music at the Park event. Those who made in-kind donations over and above our dollar amount. And those who expressed words of encouragement and cheered us along all the way. Honestly, I am weary of asking people for money. I want to invite the community to join the Kaysville Pickleball Facebook page for updated information about all things pickleball, and we also plan to keep everybody updated on the progress of the courts. Lastly, I sincerely want to thank the mayor, the city manager, city council members for listening to us. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And thank you for being willing to come out and learn the sport so you can see where our passion comes from. I want to thank Cole Stevens and Vance Garfield for their support and encouragement from day one. And a big thank you to my husband, Alan, and our pickleball committee. Thank you.
So we'll give Tammy about a year off, and then we have a couple other projects that we...
Put her on the band fundraising thing,
that
too.
we need some fundraising. Exactly. So, no, it's a privilege for us to be at this point, and we're excited to where we sit today. Just to give you a little bit of a historical perspective, so in February of 2013 is when we were first introduced from a Parks and Recreation Department to the concept of pickleball as far as in the community, when the Worstons came and visited with us and talked to us about putting 2 courts at the Recreation Center, which we shortly did. And since that time, then over the course of 2000, Chris, was it just 2016 for 3,000 participants? Yeah, so during the year of 2016, we had 3,000 participants play pickleball at some point or time at the Recreation Center. So you can see that it's a demand, and we're excited. In December of 2016, we engaged with engineering services as we saw that the pickleball community was starting to raise some substantial money. They hit the $100,000 mark, so that we knew that they were going to approach that. So we engaged with engineering, had some plans designed. Do you have a copy of those? And so this is the proposed location of the pickleball courts at Barnes Park on the west side, next to the parking lot that's kind of shown in grass is actually in asphalt. It is a functioning parking lot. It does exist. It's right behind Egan Automotive, and then the building to the south of them, which is the Academica West building. We have a shared use agreement with that parking lot. The parking lot sits on city property where the businesses have access to it during the day, and we have use of it as well. So as we began our design process with the space that we had allocated, we have a football field to the west and then a football field to the north that also serves as rugby and lacrosse fields in the spring. And so as we started to lay out the process of the pickleball courts as to how many we could fit, and with the involvement of Tammy and her committee with the pickleball courts and designing some of the elements, some of the spatial needs that are required and that we desired. We came up with two options. We have a base bid option, which was the 8 courts, and then we had an alternate one option, which was the 4 additional courts that go to the south. In February of, well, actually in January, what are we, March 2nd? So in January, the end of January, well, middle of January, we went out to bid with the pickleball courts, and then on February 15th, you'll see in your packet, you have the bid tabulation sheet for those companies that submitted proposals. It's a very specialized field dealing with post-tension concrete, which is what the pickleball courts will be constructed of. And so we had 3 plan holders that had sets. We had 2 that submitted bids. And as you see in your packet, the low bid from Park and Tennis Construction for the base bid amount of $173,621.02. And that will completely construct the base 8 courts with fencing all the way around what you see there on the base 8 with the handicap approach and all those things. That will all be in the base bid. So as we looked at the funding that we had available with the group, the pickleball group, the donations that they had, and your packet's a little bit incorrect because as of today at 1 o'clock, they've raised $124,813. So in a week's time from when you received the packet, they've raised an additional $2,000. And so we're hopeful that those donations will still continue to come in as we begin the process of constructing these courts. So the second sheet in your packet, you'll see kind of a breakdown of some options as we took the bids and looked at what we were able to do with some of the funding that we had. As we consulted with the pickleball group committee to decide, do we push for 12 or do we go for 8 with some lights? And it was felt that they desired to have the 8 courts with some lights. So as we looked at some lighting options, just the cost and nature of ball field lights, down lighting, they are, let's just say, not on the cheap side. But we have figured out a way that we can light 4 courts right now with the ability to light the additional 4 down the road as maybe more funding becomes available. So what we're proposing is on that second sheet is under the project cost, option 1 with 8 courts and 4 lit. Answer any questions you have, go into more detail. Here to answer any questions you have. So,
Cole?
Yes.
Maybe just mention that, maybe you don't want to mention it, but under project funding option 1, we've got what the pickleball group has raised and what we've kind of committed to, which was that $125,000. So just going off that, we're $16,000 short, which is probably what, $14,000 now? $14,000, $15,000
give or take. And there's still some variables that we still have to deal with. You know, we have a donor recognition. We put a placeholder in there of $10,000 because those that have donated to a certain level get some form of recognition on the court, and that's still yet to be determined on what that will exactly be. So some of those numbers will fluctuate. But just let me, while Shane mentioned that, some of the in-kind donations that were received for the project, a substantial one was from a concrete supplier that made an offer to the pickleball group of donations of some of the concrete material. And that donation is reflected in the bid amount that you see of $173. So that's already accounted for in that bid amount. We have received a donation in the amount of $7,500 towards the installation of the lighting system. And so the light cost you see there is that would be just the material, the wiring to get the poles lit and installed. But they've donated all their labor. The things that the city's doing on our end as far as in-kind donations is all the landscaping at the finale of the project. Also working with the power department on bringing our power supply to the site, to the proper location. And then working with the public works department on, we have to cross a section of the parking lot to get a conduit for the power feed underneath the parking lot, working with them to dig through that, just a small trench through the parking lot and then have them repave it. That kind of talks about the in-kind donations that we've received on the project that don't necessarily go to the cash value, of the project, but are things that the city is participating in and out in the project outside of the cash contributions. And so we're recommending, as you see on the staff, the city count report, we reviewed the bids submitted by the Park and Tennis Company and Track and Tennis Company and recommend approving the contract with Park and Tennis Construction for the base bid amount. And then also, after reviewing our lighting options, we're requesting the authority to purchase the lights directly from Musco. Now, Musco is the company that currently has supplied all of our lights around Barnes Park, all the ball fields. We operate Musco lighting with their control link system. And so we're just requesting that we have the ability to purchase that directly through Musco, which is subject to our purchasing policy, as I noted there, policies and procedures sections 4-B-1 and 3 are the reasons why we're requesting that and just going directly to the manufacturer to purchase those lights.
And then those lights will be installed by
Those
the
lights will then be installed by
with the
lighting
$7,500 in-kind contribution,
Correct.
right? Okay. Cole, I'm ecstatic. Would you mind, do you have a laser pointer there handy?
Yes.
Would you mind just showing, so the 8 courts obviously are the ones that are...
So the 8 courts are here.
And those lights, the ones that are going to be lit are going to be...
The 4 courts that will be lit will be right here.
Most adjacent to the parking lot.
And so the lighting system does not sit in the post-tension concrete. So it'll sit out in the grass landscape area. There'll be one on this corner, one on this corner, and then there'll be one here and one here. Now these 2 poles are being designed, or will be designed, to be able to handle more light fixtures on them so that down the road they would have the ability to light these courts. So down the road, the only additional expense would be these 4 additional poles with lights plus a few more lamp heads on these. But these poles will be sized properly right now so that down the road that option.
Did you say 4 additional poles? Would it not be 2?
2, sorry, 2.
2 additionals.
So.
And what is, I'm just curious what the cost difference is between 4 and 8 courts?
Well, if you do the
for the lighting.
So the lighting, the price from Musco currently is just about $76,000. So if you break that down per pole, like you always say, Mayor, don't do math in public. So divide 76 by 4, and it gives you roughly, what's that?
16, 17.
Just under 20. Yeah. Just under 20. So it's an additional $40,000 to $50,000 to do those additional 4 courts. So we just didn't fill with the money that we had currently. The funding source for this, of course, the $125,000 that the pickleball community has raised that's sitting in a city account. The funding mechanism for the city's contribution will be through the Park and Recreation impact fee balance, that we have enough money in there to assist with that cash contributions to that. So the Park and Recreation impact fee money are restricted funds that can only be used for Park and Recreation new construction projects, which this falls under a new construction project. And that shouldn't have any bearing going forward as we look into Pioneer Park down the road as far as having any negative impact regarding Pioneer Park.
Excellent.
So just a sort of financial question. I think I heard you say that all the in-kind donations are already included in the price or already reduced?
Yes.
So there is a $16,000, now $14,893 difference between funds available and the cost or the estimated cost.
Correct. And so we're hoping as this project goes forward, as we receive hopefully some more donations that come in, that amount is reduced. But also within that Park and Recreation impact fee amount, we have the ability to cover that as well. But we're hoping it's a combination of some more donations that are able to come in as we continue with the project, that balance will shrink.
Okay, and you just answered my other question. I mean, we had made the earlier commitment council had for $125,000, but all of that is covered by park impact fees, and in addition to that, there are additional park impact fees that could cover the difference without impacting Pioneer Park.
Correct.
And there could be additional donations that come in that lessen the amount that has to come out of the park.
Exactly. I know Tammy's anxious to go out and raise more, so.
Ready to go to work. She's got a band project too now, though. They're going to hire her.
But in reality, so a week ago, within a week's time, just under $2,000 came in, and so we're hopeful that those continue to trickle in and reduce some of that balance.
Cole, do you remember the balance of the park impact fee? I was thinking it was about 300,000 right now. Is it a little less than that?
So it's 181,000.
Oh, that's the balance right now?
That's the balance. So we have some projects that we're currently bidding out or constructing this year that come out of that.
The parking lot.
The parking lot at Heritage Park is being paid for with a park and recreation impact fee. The restroom project at Barnes Park, that's also a much-needed facility that we've been planning for years prior to this pickleball court. It's going to sit, it's kind of off the map, it'll sit kind of right up here. The restroom project is currently out to bid right now. So that money will come out of the park and recreation impact fee. But with all those already accounted for, we have 181,000 that will go toward, I'm not saying all of it, but the 125,000 plus whatever that gap ends up being, we'll be able to cover that. So we'll leave our park and recreation impact fee balance between 40 and 50,000, give or take.
Which
and
is
that money is
plenty
collected on every building permit that comes in, so.
And that's plenty for us to utilize as we go forward with the
Yes, and let me already, in the contract that we went into with Blue Line Design for the construction of Pioneer Park, that money's also already accounted for. Yep. And so that 181,000 I'm quoting, all of those numbers are already pulled out. So that's what the balance we have to use towards this project. From the leagues. Did we do a math? Do you have any idea?
All that there was at least $2,000 from 3 different leagues.
Yeah, so probably, yeah. So that's the park and recreation. So when participants register for programs, there is some revenue stream that goes, it doesn't necessarily help us construct the project, but it does show that the project will, or the course will be a revenue producing thing for our recreation programs. So, and then potential tournaments down the road, all those things will have a positive impact on the community.
Just one more sort of financial question, and that is, I think there's a precedent in Kaysville over the years of various projects. For example, the Daughters of Utah Pioneers recently in Heritage Park, getting donations to put that in. Perhaps the 9/11 Memorial, other places where there have been donations. But what about things like the baseball fields or football fields in Barnes Park or the tennis courts in Gailey Park, et cetera? Were any of those through donations, or were they primarily park impact fees?
Barnes Park, that kind of predates, Vance was here, he could be able to answer the park. But no, I believe there were park impact fees that were paid for with Barnes Park, but not the complete park was not built. There was also some general fund money that was allocated to that. Gailey Park, I know when it was first constructed back in 1976, it had federal water, land, and grant on it, and so there's some strings attached with those grants on that kind of stuff. But Barnes Park, by and large, did not have a lot of donations or things associated with that. It was mainly park and recreation impact fees as well as general fund monies.
And just one more comment that I'll make too is, clearly for many decades now, the history of the United States, in almost every community, parks are an important part of the service that cities provide. Maybe you can't consider it to be essential in the sense of emergency services, but on the other hand, parks keep our community healthier. So maybe you don't need as many ambulances running out, and so they are definitely very important. And I think a sunk cost like this, especially where where the community has raised so much of the cost of the courts, will be a great jewel for Kaysville for many decades to come.
We agree. You know, I think Tammy hit the nail on the head when she described the situation of a 14-year-old grandchild playing with the 80-year-old grandparent. You can't have a 14-year-old and 80-year-old grandparent out playing a softball game, but you can have that same scenario here on the pickleball courts, with the grandparent probably winning the majority of the time. So,
Depending on who that grandparent is, I can guarantee he wins a lot.
I know George can beat Chris, so.
No doubt about it.
Your department's pretty healthy. We were just talking the other day just randomly, and you've consolidated some other things and actually gained $10,000 in your general fund side.
We have, yes.
So, pretty good financial health.
I just wanted to make a comment too about the effort that has went into this project from the Worstons, from Tammy and Ellen, and from the community is totally unprecedented. We've seen a lot of community support for a lot of projects. I signed every one of the thank you letters that staff prepared when someone made a donation, and it was inspiring to me to see them from $25 to $5,000, $10,000, and they were constant. Almost every time I came into City Hall, I had another letter to sign. And for a family night, we were over in our city to the north, and I ran into a city council member who was talking to a constituent, and she said, "We were just talking about Kaysville. We're trying to figure out how Kaysville managed to put together pickleball courts." And it was so refreshing to hear Layton, who has everything, admire what Kaysville was. They don't have everything. Let me rephrase that. They appear to have everything materially, but it was nice to hear that they were just conversating about how amazing it was, and it was nice to be able to say, well, the first thing you need is a Tammy Worston, and then second is you need a great community behind it. So very, very welcome. But truly, thank you for all of your efforts.
Yeah. Let me just explain a little thing about the lights too, just so people are a little bit maybe curious and want to know about the approach we're going. So we're going with, we're proposing an LED light. The reason being is so most of our ball fields are activated by staff. They throw a switch, the lights turn on. These courts are going to be different in that they're going to be user activated. So when the user comes up and it's dark, they can push a push button on the on a pole that will turn the lights on for a set period of time, which the reason why we're requesting, you know, the ability to purchase through Musco is because our control-link system that we currently monitor Field 5 with is also the same program that will monitor this, that we can set the parameters of those lights so the lights won't stay on beyond 11 o'clock, that the controls can be set so that those lights will shut off at 11 o'clock. The other advantage to LED is they're instant on, instant off. With our other ball field lights, they're metal halide, and they have a 30-minute warm-up period and a 30-minute cool-down period. So if a user's out there using the courts and they ignore, there's also a strobe light that will start blinking with a minute to go saying the lights are about to shut off, you better reactivate them. With the metal halide system, if they miss that window, they have to wait about 40 minutes before those lights will cool down and then power back up. With LED, they're just instant on, instant off. And so we'll have, also with Musco, just for your information, there's a 25-year warranty on all the equipment with the lights, so that should outlive my working life.
And it's all compatible with stuff we already have.
Yes.
Within the parks.
Yep. So that's the reason for the request on that exception to the bidding process that we noted there in the report.
This has been a long time coming, a lot of work, and the recommendation from staff is to have the council award the contract to Park and Tennis Construction for the base bid amount of $173,621.02 and authorize the Parks and Recreation Department to purchase the lighting from Musco Sports and Lighting as per the Kaysville City purchasing policy. Is someone interested in making a motion for that?
Yes, absolutely. But I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned, because you know it was mentioned that if you haven't had pickleball affect your life yet, you will. I've had it affect my life, and it's, you know, it's actually been a wonderful thing. It's actually a very fun sport. The first time I ever played it was when Tammy invited the council to come out and play it, not quite a year ago. And I happened to have an experience over Thanksgiving this last year when I competed in a tournament against Tammy, and she smoked me, all right? So, I mean, it was brutal. I mean, I think she let me and my daughter score, you know, like 5 points or something, so she kind of, you know, let us off a little easy there. But no, it's an incredible sport, and it's I have to again echo what has been said on behalf of Tammy and Alan both, the committee themselves, but also the community, which has really turned out to support this project. There are a great many people who have picked up. I keep hearing from people through the woodwork who come up and approach me and say now they're like a 5-0 and they're winning gold medals in tournaments somewhere, and I didn't even know that they played. And there's people all over the community who are really actually doing so much fun with this sport. This is really unprecedented, you know, to raise this kind of money from, I don't know, something like 70 or so individual contributors and donors, you know, and untold numbers by the people who shopped at Bowman's and those kinds of things. But I mean, it's really impressive to see that many people come together, and it's really fun. And so, Mayor, to your point, I am ecstatic to make the motion that we approve the construction contract to Park and Tennis Construction for the 8 courts, and to allow the staff, the city, to purchase directly from Musco Sports Lighting, with the exception to the purchasing policy, as afforded in the purchasing policy for the lights. And let's get this going.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Thank you. A motion by Councilmember Snell and a second by Councilmember Page as outlined. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, Councilmember Page, will you start a vote?
Yeah, aye.
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 Thank you. Voting is unanimous.
That's the only time that's happened.
Thank you. Yeah, it's being recommended that we take a 5-minute break, so council, 5-minute recess.
Yes. I haven't had that much water, so I'm still seeing yellow.
I have one already.
Those LED lights.
It's the way to go, isn't it?
It's the only way to go.
It's up front more, but
In fact, people in their houses,
they do.
I remodel